Okay, street talk time then, and I am quite happy to report that it was a much better week this week after a couple of weeks of not so good stuff. It's not all been bad, but I've been feeling a little bit down about Corrie recently. But yeah, I thought it was a much improved set of episodes this week. So congratulations to everyone involved. We are going to be starting off with the main story of the week, which is the size supplies storyline. Moving on to the Jeffrey Metcalf adventures that Yasmeen's been getting up to. Oh my gosh, Nina and Asha are back, and they're going to be our third story of the week, followed by Hallucinating. But now the hallucinations are gone because he's taking his medicine. Oh. So sad, Johnny. I was struggling to think of a decent storyline title for Paul one, but I think that he's on the up, actually. I've been feeling quite positive about Paul for the first time in quite a long time, so I'm calling this story Pull Your Life Together.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I just need some kind of reaction, even that will do.
Pull your life together.
Yeah, shut up, don't think about it too much. Because
okay.
Then we had also tonight a little bit of a return of the Downward Dobbs story and the telesales and marketing, which is going on for inordinately longer than I thought it would do.
I know it's limping,
it's like, this is the sort of story that usually should last a week or two of filler.
I like the way they were like, look, this is important, we have to give this the space that it needs to breathe,
and then huge weeks worth of space in between every little instalment of it.
Can I ask you a question about the Downward Dobbs thing?
Yes, you can.
When he inevitably makes a move on Alina, are we going to change the name of it to Dirty Dobbs?
Dirty Dobbs. You're going to get the Dirty Dobbs award, isn't he? I think you might be right. Right, okay. I want to do the size story like this because I'm really quite enjoying
how
this.
much is everybody loving how horrible Jacob is and how much
great.
you want to beat him to death?
So great.
With a marble rolling tin.
I don't know whether I do or whether I want to cheer him on for goading Leanne and telling her to shut up to her face. We've all wanted to do it, come on.
I really wanted her to beat him to death.
I think that Jacob is a really positive addition to the show, considering
I was very dismissive initially because I was here we go, a bit of another Corrie rent-a thug, because they're all very generic and they're very, they're all very similar because they're all just like...
bring him in, get him to be a bit intimidating, and then off he goes a couple of months later.
If you want to know what the archetype of a Corrie rent-a-thug is, just go down the shops at like 9 o'clock on a Saturday night.
It's definitely down by our way.
And they might ask you if you can buy them a few bottles of beer on the way out.
Yes, I mean, I think that between him and Jane Danson,
she was
fantastic
again.
And actually, to give him his dues, I think Alex Bain has been doing a bang-up job as well.
I know, but I'm finding it... Do you know what? It's really weird because I've forgotten the name. Who plays Jacob?
Jack. James.
Jackie Job.
You talk, I will find.
So he's...
Jack James Ryan is his name. I knew I was right.
James Ryan.
I hadn't forgotten. He said I did.
Because he's a new character. I'm sort of paying attention to the fact that he's a new character, and I'm aware of the fact that, because we've sort of interacted with the actor a bit on Twitter and everything. So I'm more aware that he's an actor playing a character. But with Simon, I'm just like... I can enjoy Jacob. I'm like, yeah, he's doing a fantastic job, this actor. He's really playing a really annoying character. I think he's doing a really good job of it. And when Simon's been, I'm like, oh, Simon, I hate you so much. You're so annoying, you little scrope bag. Like, I somehow, because I've seen him grow up, I just kind of forget that he's not
real.
Yeah, I know. I want to beat him to death as well.
I don't know. I
Nobody
don't know whether I think we've got
this,
different reactions to Jacob.
Really?
Because I
hate him.
I'm loving him.
But you're not loving to hate him. You're just really liking him.
I just think that he's amusing and entertaining, and I look forward to his scenes. I mean, the stuff that he was doing in the flat with Leanne this week, it was like brilliant. Every time they switch back to that story.
Really?
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Yeah. So the problem last week was with Sam, wasn't it? Because he'd seen Jacob and Simon getting up to some dodgy business with that bloke in the boot on Friday's episode. So Sam is in the cafe doing his long division.
Well, he'd avoided Simon and run off with his bag, hadn't he? And Simon was trying to get his bag back.
Yeah, no, he did he have no, but the bag was back in the house, wasn't it? Oh yeah. He'd taken it to the house. Anyway, he doesn't seem too keen on seeing Simon when Nick mentions it to him.
No.
We also see Simon ignoring a call from Jacob because he's kind of realised at the beginning of the week that he's maybe getting in a little bit too deep on this, and he wants to make a clean break of it all.
Out.
So he runs up to Sam in the street, like creepily happy and smiley. And whenever Simon is like
Nice
not
to
grimacing,
somebody.
I think this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
He's all cheery, he's apologetic, and he says, "Oh yeah, me and my mates, you thought, we were just messing about yesterday. He wasn't in trouble at all. This is just what we're like, bit of bants, you know. Are we cool, Sam? Are we cool?" I love how Simon cares whether he's cool with a little 10-year-old. You haven't told Nick, have you? He says, and
this is like the most. I know they're not related, but this is just the most classic sibling, like. Don't tell.
It is.
Mum.
Don't tell Dad. Don't tell Dad.
We're best friends, aren't we? Please, I love you.
Nick gets a phone call later from Mrs. Green.
Uh-oh.
At the school.
Oh no.
Simon has had not Simon. Sam. It says Simon in my notes. Sam has had a meltdown and hurt another pupil. What's he done? He's only gone and thrown an exercise book at him.
Oh gosh.
I know.
It's probably covered in COVID as well.
Yeah, exactly. I hope he
things.
wiped it down before he launched it at his friend, because secondary schools still keeping that social distancing.
You got to have your tests, didn't you?
Yeah, it's all different in Weatherfield because they haven't had a lockdown. Remember?
No.
Anyway, Jacob, meanwhile, is accosting Simon in the street, and Simon's said, "Look, I've got it all sorted. I've got my bag back. It's all cool. Sam's not going to say anything." And Jacob reminds him that if he messes up again, he's not going to be able to help him because he's got his big boss bloke. Who is a higher power. He's the Ridian of the drugs world.
See, this is really intriguing to me because this person's been bigged up, haven't they? Like for a couple of weeks now, this kind of shadowy figure, like crime boss of Weatherfield.
It's Pat Phelan's twin brother, I'll tell you.
Is it going to be another bloody what's her face? Debbie, not really. What's the name of the character that everyone? Roxy. Is it going to be another Roxy where this sort of faceless goon turns up and is like, yeah, it's me.
As long as it's not Mick.
I thought it was secretly Mary.
Do you know
what I mean?
I feel it won't be long before we find out.
I don't know if they're making but Corrie's done this before. What I'm pointing out is Corrie's done this before, where they've bigged somebody up without realising they're doing it, and we've taken it and run with it, and everybody on Twitter has been like, oh, I've got a theory, and then it just turns out it's nobody.
We will see, won't we?
What do you think? Do you think it's going to be somebody? Like, are they going to be even more exciting and charismatic than Jacob, or are they going to be...
I think they will be. I think it's time that we had another Jez Quigley-alike on the street.
Is it going to be Ray?
No, it's not going to be anyone we know.
Do you reckon?
I am rather sure.
Do you know?
Let's move on.
Oh, for God's sake. I hate you. I quit the show.
We also cut back to Nick and Sam later in the cafe because he's been sent home or something or other. I don't know. It seems like that's what you want to do. You got to do when you want to get sent home from school. You chuck an exercise book at somebody else. I'll try it myself when I'm having a bit of a hard day. Nick is concerned about his son's behaviour and suggests, why don't you write about what's been going on in your diary? Or what about that bike ride that you went on? Wasn't that a lovely trip you had the other day with Simon, which just makes Sam clam up even more? Then Jacob comes into the cafe and you can tell what an evil scrote he is because he doesn't even have a mask on.
Oh, what? I can't, no, hang on. Is he medically exempt?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Although maybe that's why he's smoking that marijuana. Maybe it's for medicinal purposes.
He's got terrible lungs.
Yeah, maybe he is the true victim in all of this, not Leanne.
It's always really interesting to me
Simon.
that somehow the people that have medical exemptions seem to cling together in large groups. You notice this?
Oh yeah,
Very strange.
Anyway, Roy stalls Jacob, not for any particular reason, but just because of the mask. But Sam takes the opportunity to dart out the back and lock himself in the bogs. Meanwhile, we got Nick and Sarah in the factory. Nick's telling Sarah he's very worried about Sam, but she says, don't worry, it's all normal. So Nick gets summoned then to go and rescue Sam from the Kazi, and Sam's like, is Simon's friend still there? And Nick says, are you scared of Simon's friend? Whatever it is, I won't be angry. Poor old Sam. I did feel very bad for Sam on Monday's episode. All the trauma and worry he's going through, what he saw with those
He's
nasty
such an
boys.
innocent little soul.
I know. So Nick takes him home. He's still very shaken. And then Simon comes over as well. And Nick says, right, Sam's been telling me something, Simon, and I want you to tell your mum exactly what happened last night. So Nick says that he basically tells the story about the boot and everything. Yeah, Nick says, this is what Sam said to me, right, Simon. And Simon's like, no, it's just a joke. We weren't mean anything. It was nothing at all, Sam.
All he needed to do was say it was for our YouTube channel.
Yeah, that would.
And it would have explained everything.
It would have just bamboozled Nick and Leanne, probably.
They would have been like, are you getting money for it? Not yet, but you wait. We're going to have some great pranks.
I've lost where I am on my notes now. Yeah. So Simon is just, he's insistent that he was just messing about. It's all fine. Leanne is kind of taking his side as well. And when Nick says, no, this isn't good enough, it's not a joke, it was real, I believe my son, Leanne tells Nick that he should go because she believes Simon. And
no.
And Nick says the saddest thing is that she can't see something that's really, really wrong.
What?
Leanne can't see that, well, he's just saying she's in denial about the scrote baggishness of her horrible son. So, Simon and Leanne are left in the flat and he gets the Leannish inquisition from her, and he's still saying it was just a prank. She doesn't seem so sure about this at this point. I think she was just defending him in front of the others, but yeah, she's suspicious, and so when she kind of doesn't immediately believe everything he says, he stomps out, goes to the chip shop to get some food, and Jacob's there. We've never seen inside the chip shop for like 15 years in Coronation Street, have we? I want to know what's beyond those doors.
I need to say something quickly about the fact that Leanne was saying to Jacob and Simon. She says, he's probably got lots of excuses because he was probably dragged up, but you've got no excuse. And I was thinking, I know you've done your best, Leanne, with Simon. But I don't.
He's no saint.
I wouldn't say that he has been raised particularly well, and I don't know that it was all your fault. But we should probably acknowledge there were mistakes made.
Yeah. Jacob says, because when Simon tells him his mum's doing his nutting, Jacob says, "Don't worry. Look, if you keep these jobs up, you're gonna soon have the cash to get your own place. You can move out from your mum, and it'll attract all the fit girls too. So win-win." Simon goes home. Feeling a bit better, but Leanne burst his bubble right up by emptying a bag of drugs onto the table. She likes emptying bags of stuff in front of Simon, doesn't she?
Feathers,
first it's feathers,
drugs,
now it's drugs. What next?
Anything white and fluffy, she'll have it. She's like a cat.
He starts to say, look, what are they doing? I've never seen these before in my life. Somebody must have planted them on me.
Are these drugs?
But Leanne's like, I think you're involved in something a bit nasty here, Simon. And he's like, yeah, you're right, I am. I'm involved in this. It's drugs. It's your fault, Leanne, Mum. I had to step up, take control, because you can't pay bills with tears and feathers.
That's a good slogan. I'm going to get that put on a mug.
They have arguments. There's lots and lots of shouty back and forth all week. There basically is between those two, isn't there? And he says, look, I didn't have any choice. You need me because you just can't cope with everything you're going through. So sorry, but not sorry. Some days you don't even get off the sofa, and I'm in this deep, all because of you. And he kind of leaves, and then she's given a look as like, sad. Yeah, maybe this is my fault.
It's not. Listen, can I defend her here? We don't know why she's not getting on the sofa. Everyone's assuming that she's grieving. Maybe she's doing what I've been doing, watching all the Marvel films.
No, she's watching flipping Crystal Watson, isn't she?
Yeah, but you got to have a break from watching the epic adventures of Iron Man and his merry men.
Relax with a bit of tele-psychic.
Yeah.
She says she's gonna phone the police, and he says, well, you better not do, because I owe these drug people a shed load of cash. Plus, if I become another grass, then you're just going to lose another son. So
I find this quite dumb. I find it quite incredible that all the way through this, Leanne has not mentioned her own dabbling with drugs.
I know. I'm just waiting for this to happen. Well, this was like 21 years ago. It was around the turn of the millennium when she was in deep with Jez Quigley, who we mentioned earlier. And I can't remember the exact details, but ask me again in about a year and it'll have been repeated on ITV3, so I can probably I'll have my memory refreshed.
I hope this story's not
but
bloody
she was doing drugs. She was going out with Jez Quigley, the drug dealer. There was one bit where she arranged, I think this was at the Millennium actually, for the Rovers to be broken into by them so that they could raid the Rovers' tills or something. But yeah, this is not the first foray into the world of illegal drugs for Leanne, and it is a bit surprising that she's not brought it up yet.
You would think she would, like, get her baseball cap, turn it around, get the chair, sit on it the wrong way round and go, listen, Si, you might think I'm an old square, but I used to be pretty cool, just like you, and drug dealing. And I'll tell you, it didn't turn out that well for me. And in fact, I ended up having to go on the game. Is that what you want for yourself?
God.
I need you to think about this hard because this could be a very slippery slope.
I think, honestly, Joel jokes aside, they should have a scene. If they don't, they're missing an obvious opportunity. And I know that sometimes Corrie characters forget things like this. Kevin, but
it feels really weird that she hasn't brought this up because it's not as though this wouldn't be something that you would say. Like, you would say, look, Simon, you think I don't know about life? You think I don't understand? You think I'm some kind of hoity-toity, uppity woman who, like, you know, crochets or whatever? I lived a life before you came along, it was stressful.
I've got a techno rave CD on my CD rack.
Look at...
It's not all bros.
Fat Boy Slim, hello?
Yeah, I think that they could have a nice, quiet, reflective mum and son scene, but equally, maybe Simon's not in the state of mind to receive that yet, and maybe I would rather see it.
I just think
if
it
he's
would
calmed
give her,
down a bit.
If I was her and I was trying to get Simon to understand that this is not good, I think I would use the fact that I had been through this exact same thing and it ended up very badly as evidence that I know what I'm talking about.
Well, also involved in this story, I mean, Jez Quigley ended up getting killed by Jim McDonald, as did Tony Horrocks, who Jez Quigley had killed or something as well. So she is acutely aware that this... Yeah.
Yes, and I mean, also, if you think about it, this also gives her another credible reason, that not that you need any more, for her to worry about what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen what happens, not just to me, but to other people.
Yeah, it would be very remiss of them not to mention it. So
I don't know whether they've decided.
I'll just
that
trust in them that they are going to. We like a shout out. They're going to call back the Corrie fans.
I don't know whether they've decided that it's too complicated and people won't remember. But I think it's a silly thing to not mention. It could literally be a scene. You don't need it to be. And to be honest, they've repeated a lot of scenes with these characters. I don't know why they couldn't have taken one out. They could definitely make room for it, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. So, Wednesday, and Leanne's having her morning cry. She's listening to Ollie's music box.
Scheduled in, 9
ignoring
to 10.
Toya, who's trying to give her a ring, and she's there at work getting on with who knows what, and worrying that her calls are going straight to voicemail.
Quality control?
She tells Nick, who says, well, you're worried about Leanne? I'm more worried about the company Simon's keeping at the moment. So Toya goes round to see her, and talking about repeated scenes, here's take, I don't know how many, of Toya going round to try and offer a bit of support to Leanne, and she ends up getting it thrown back in her face. She's like, because Toya's like saying, yeah, you know, you just need to nip things in the bud with Simon before he gets into something deeper, like robbery or drug dealing, because Leanne hasn't gone into, you know, the full depths of what's actually going on with Simon here. And then Leanne starts using the old lines of, you don't know, you can't tell me how to parent. Apart from that child you stole one time, you got no idea about giving parenting advice. Thank you very much. So
I don't know how to fly a plane, but when it lands on the ground and catches on fire, I might know that they did something wrong. Exactly.
So Simon, and this is where, to me, the story, which I was already fairly enjoying, rocketed up in my estimation.
Yeah.
Simon brings Jacob round for his tea.
Such a naughty boy, isn't he?
I know, they didn't even wash their hands before they started eating those
chips. They should have come in, washed their hands.
20 seconds.
Sung happy birthday to one another.
Yeah, but and Jacob is just like weirdly, creepily familiar with her, isn't he? He's not showing any kind of respect that you would do to a parent of a friend. But I mean, obviously Simon and Jacob don't really have that kind of relationship. But
he's just so menacing and scary.
Yeah, it's from that moment you kind of realise, he really doesn't care about.
No, he's not. He doesn't care what they think of him, and he's showing off, isn't he?
Yeah, he's showing his dominance over
the
person who's maybe can control Simon.
It doesn't matter to him how anybody reacts, because he's got all the power in the situation. Because he kind of, like, if Simon gets upset with him, then he wins, because he gets to tell Simon he can't, there's nothing he can do about it, and he would love it for it to bother Simon. And if Simon, like, joins in with him or doesn't stop him, it shows that he has gained the complete control of the situation.
And he's really kind of not easing himself into it. He goes right for the jugular of, like, yeah, I would, talking about Simon's mum. It was pretty grim.
Sexy babe.
Yeah. So Friday...
I wonder whether Jane Danson got hold of that script.
What do you mean?
It's like, this is handwritten in. Are you sure this is the line? Yes, newcomer. He
Just
says...
say it.
He says, Leanne is a sexy babe. The director's like, oh, you must have a different script.
Friday then, Leanne catches Jacob and Simon counting out their money on the table, and he says he gives us some of the money. Like, he might as well just push it down into a bride.
I know.
Go and get yourself something nice down fresh goes. And tells her to shut up, which is amazing.
I found this is what really. You thought this was funny, but this really annoyed me so much. I wanted to pick him up and you know how you're supposed to kill a chicken, where you pick them up by the head and then spin their bodies around and their egg comes off.
Is that how it works? Jacob. Is that did you learn that from Jeff?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to kill a chicken.
Pick up a chicken and then just jiggle it until it stops clucking.
I think this is a not pleasant conversation. I'm sorry I brought it up, but we can all agree that Jacob should die a horrible death, surely.
No, he's not.
Oh, when I was watching him, I was clenching my fists, like, I couldn't cope, like,
It does. I do wonder whether we're going to get some kind of redemption for him, just because there is this big boss who's controlling him, and like he's gone down the same dark path as Simon. He's just like so many steps ahead
one of the lost
path
boys
of Simon, and Si could be like that, and given a few years or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, Jacob just carries on riling up Leanne throughout the morning, who accidentally knocks the music box off the kitchen.
This was really annoying. I hate this. I hate it in the show when a character's been bullied and then they just kind of collapse on the floor crying, and the person who's bullying them's like, ha ha ha, and walks off.
Very much in character for Leanne, though, just to sit around and cry.
Yeah.
So we also had the introduction of Carla and Peter to this story on Friday. Carla's still worried about him going out drinking. He's going out.
Saw him out dead early this morning.
Dead early this morning. He was out there having a walk. He says he just wasn't able to sleep properly because his mind can't rest, and he's
I think this is supposed to be mysterious, isn't it?
Maybe.
I don't know, because he is lurking around and he is wobbling about.
He's going somewhere, isn't he? I don't know. I'm not particularly interested about where he's going, but she's worried he's maybe going out boozing or something. So she goes and tells Nick about Peter, and he says, "Oh, it's fine. I go early morning jogging too. Maybe Peter's just the same. Nothing to worry about. Don't just cool it, Carla. It's fine.
Don't talk to me about it."
Later, we got Leanne begging Simon to stop what he's doing with Jacob, but he says he can't. He's trying to stop them going under because the financial situation is so terrible there. She's a total wreck. And this is literally the only way he can get money so that they don't get turfed out on the street. And she tries to say to them, look, we can be a team. We can get through this together. And he's like, no, I'm doing this my way, Mum. It's too late to turn back now. So Leanne goes nuts. She goes around number one to speak to Peter.
Oh, this was such a great scene. She was so good in this
Carla's
scene.
there on the doorstep. Peter's gone out, and so Carla has to bear the full brunt of Leanne's desperation about wanting to talk to Peter so that he can come and sort his son out. Leanne goes in, tells Carla about all the druggy stuff, and Carla says, well, I don't think Peter's really in the right frame of mind for dealing with all this at the moment because he's been having seizures and things. And I didn't realise that Peter's seizures were a secret. Maybe it was just kind of one of those handy, convenient things where they look back at the old script and say, oh,
nobody mentioned it to
Leanne, so we'll assume that it's a secret. But anyway, if he finds out about what's going on with Simon at the moment, this is going to tip him over the edge. Peter must never know.
Oh no!
Enter Peter.
What's that?
What don't I need to know about?
Uh-oh.
cliche load of rubbish that was, honestly.
Oh, Michael, it's dramatic.
Oh, and then how do they tell Peter everything? No, of course. Carla makes up some amazing lie on the fly about Simon struggling with his A levels. And Leanne, again, cliche as you like, just sits there kind of going, oh, yes, that's what it is. Why is she doing that? When she was so desperate. I know that she's only just heard about Peter, but I didn't think that Leanne would have
I thought that she
really stayed quiet.
No,
there.
it makes sense to me because she's trying to decide what to do. Because she can still tell him another time, but she can't untell him.
I don't know.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I know that she's obviously still cares for him after all they've been through together, but I just thought that she was so het up that she would have blabbed it out, because Leanne does have a habit of just saying whatever comes to mind and not caring about the consequences or who she hurts.
Yeah, this is so sad how, you know, Peter's kind of been very selfish, and I don't think he's realised how selfish he's been, because now he's not there for his kid when he needs him, you know? Because
has been a rubbish dad all Simon's life. He hasn't been there like Simon said, he hasn't been there for the past 17 years. Why should he start now?
I know, but it's so sad.
Oh, yeah, it is.
And, you know, when you have children, you can't just be an alcoholic. That's my advice.
Yeah, but it's best to stop. So you said that there was a mystery of Peter and all his going outs and everything, but he also has a bit of a wobble later, doesn't he?
Well, this is the point, yeah.
He says he hasn't been drinking, he's just not been sleeping, and he's weak and wobbly.
Yeah, because she's like, if you've been drinking, you've got to tell me.
Yeah, and he says, no, you need to trust me, I don't need any extra stress. So that kind of is left there.
Yeah, I mean, I really, really find it hard, and I assume this is similar to real life, when somebody who has been lying for years goes and gets offended when somebody does not believe them immediately when they say something that they have previously lied about many, many times.
Yes. Well, Carla has to put this one little...
I want to add, there's nothing more frustrating than trying to tell somebody something and they don't believe you.
Oh, I know.
Even when you probably were being fibby about it before.
Carla has to put this little issue to one side for the moment because she has got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
Speaking of fries, for your fries, I don't even mean that to segue, but it kind of did. She goes over to the chip shop to go and lay into Jacob.
I thought this was cool.
Did you? I thought that it was just...
It started off cool and then it didn't go anywhere.
I just can't take Carla seriously when she goes and stands up to people like that. No, she's been through too much. The character's fallen so far that when she goes and, you know, goes back to kind of what the old Carla would have been like, I'm just watching it going, no, Carla, I don't feel it anymore. It's sad, really. So she's having a go at Jacob, saying, oh, you're just playing a big scary gangster. Yeah, you're just a little boy. You need to leave. You need to stop being Simon's friends. You need to break up or you'll regret it. And he doesn't care. His reaction was like me, like going, really, Carla? You think I'm going to take any notice of you? No, thank you. Actually, I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing. You need to keep your mouth shut.
I didn't like the scene, the way it ended, just because it was very unrealistic as far as I'm concerned. Well, he's like, oh, shut up, nobody cares what you think. And she just kind of looks upset and walks off. Whereas in real life, you would just tell him to F off and walk off. Wouldn't you? No, you wouldn't. I would.
Well, Carla's not allowed to say that word.
There's no way. I know, but you can't not have the last word. Because the last word can just be F off. I
just think it just made Carla look even more pathetic.
That's what I mean.
She came off worse in a battle of wits
with a guy that's got
20-year-old guy. Yeah, it's like it just.
I just think it's silly.
Become, really.
Sometimes the way people choose to approach these things, it's like a middle-aged woman who weighs about 7.5 stone. I'm going to tell a young lad that to leave somebody alone and intimidate him. Like, he'd just break you in half.
I've lost where we are.
So he tells Simon, don't your mum's been telling tales.
Yeah, you better tell her not to open a trap to anyone else, or else.
Everybody's or elsing everyone else.
Peter tries to ring Simon because he thinks that something's going on, and Simon answers and is sounding a bit stressed because he's being accosted by Jacob at the time. So so Peter decides to go off hunting for Simon just to check that he's okay. he can tell Carla doesn't like the idea of him going out there because she thinks that he's just going to go and stop off at an off license along the way. And she says, "No, look, I've just been to see Simon. I've sorted everything." And Peter's like, "Thank you very much. I'm going to put my dressing gown and slippers on and carry on with my zebra jigsaw. Thank you very much." And wasn't too keen on that. I thought that he believed her
quickly.
a little bit too quickly.
Why would he think she's lying?
Well, it felt like the intensity at which Carla and Leanne were discussing Simon's issues earlier this morning.
I know, but Peter's like, "Oh, you know, women folk. They're always so..."
it didn't feel like something that
everything.
Carla would just be able to go and sort that quickly. And he didn't really want to know much more detail. How did you sort it with him? What's going on with his A-levels? Is he,
it turns out, me and Leanne have had a look, and he's been making notes and handing them in, all these essays and things, and the teacher's been giving him zeros. We couldn't work it out until I looked at his pen, and he's had the lid on the whole time.
Okay, maybe if it was something like that. But no, I thought that he accepted it a bit too quickly, but it's purely for soap convenience, I think. Simon goes home, has a go at Leanne for blabbing to Carla, and then Jacob comes over again. And, next in the line of fire is her CD collection, where she's got what was it?
Why
she
did
had
he
a
make
bit
fun
of
of her for having CDs?
What?
Surely everyone's CD collection is outdated now. Who's buying CDs?
Very good point. I'm surprised he even knew what it was. She's got a bit
what
of
are these little frisbees?
She's got a bit of Mamma Mia, hasn't she? She had but he was impressed that she had some techno CD there. What else would be on Leanne's CD rack,
Prodigy.
I wonder? Do you reckon?
The theme, the soundtrack to Hackers, the movie, which I tell you what is one of the best movie soundtracks of all time.
Was it Tracy who liked Bros, or was that Leanne and Toya? I think that might have been Leanne and Toya. No, we know that Leanne was definitely a Spice Girls fan back in the 90s as well. So I'm sure she, like many of us, have got a copy of Spice on there as well.
Yeah. But that might be triggering to a young lad into drugs.
Yeah, I know. Is that still a thing?
I don't
Or was
know.
that a fad from a few years ago? I don't know. They all saw that story with Summer. And then they're going, blimey, that's bad.
Coronation
Collapsing
Street.
in the Gunnel, that's not the life for me.
Coronation Street's made
Back to
this drug very uncool.
Yeah.
Nobody can do Spice anymore.
It was like when Tyrone and Kirk used to wear those black coats with a red and white diagonal stripe on them, and then nobody bought them anymore because they were associated with those two. Like Summer Spellman smokes Spice. No,
I'm not having that.
Anyway, he also finds a Nursery Rhymes CD and starts
dear.
singing Wheels on the Bus. Don't think it's hers.
Tune.
Yeah, Ed comes in. Turn it up loud.
It's a classic. It's a classic.
But is it a nursery rhyme?
Is it? What's the difference?
I don't know.
Oh no, you've opened a can of worms.
I would say.
Row, row, row.
I would say nursery rhymes. I know this is a bit off topic. Is more like them. Traditional, as in like, you know.
What's wrong with wheels on the bus is traditional?
No, I
know buses weren't invented in like.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Little Miss Moffat and I don't.
It's not a nursery.
Round the mulberry bush and.
These are rhymes.
Oh, forget it then.
Oh no, that's a song, isn't it?
Leanne snaps.
So what you're saying to me is that unless a Victorian nanny could have sung it to you, it's not a nursery
Yes,
rhyme.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. And what's the genre?
Wheels on the penny farthing go round and round. Leanne evolves into the final form of her fishwife persona that she's becoming. Grabs the rolling pin, although it was one of those fancy marble rolling pins.
But she never uses it.
Brandishing it at Jacob, and I did wonder whether wouldn't it have been amazing?
Really wanted him.
Wouldn't it have been great if she'd have clobbered him round the head?
This is where I would have loved, because Leanne was a hard case when she was younger.
She was.
I would have loved to have channeled a little bit of that Battersby rage and told him, if I hit you with this, no one would believe that I did it in anything out less than self-defence. If they come up here and they find me a grieving mother and you dead on the floor, a drug-dealing scumbag, who do they think? Who do you think they're going to believe?
Yeah.
You'll be dead and I'll get away with it, so you better leave. Don't you think she could say that? And if she uses...
She was too riled up. She wouldn't have been able...
enough of her psychotic rage and just channels it into the rolling pin...
Well, she does end up channeling her
I
psychotic
hate to
rage
say
into
this.
making her arms stretch really, really long so that she can smack the
what?
the burrito out of his mouth later.
The jazz
in
trumpet.
a not so good socially distant scene.
I hate to say this, but I think if you've ever had anything to do with the police, you'll know that I genuinely think that if there was trouble in that house, they would believe Leanne, even if she started it.
Oh, yeah.
Even if she hit him or anything, they would believe her over him because they're trained to go with the most obvious solution to any problem, and they also can be quite prejudiced against people who are like Jacob, who just so happens to be a drug dealer.
It makes me wonder what Simon would say in that situation. Would he immediately, go to his mum's side?
This would be a really good story. This would
or
be
would
a
he
really
like,
good.
no, he's kind of a mate.
This would be a very good dilemma, wouldn't it? This would be a very interesting way for the story to go, because Simon's not really hanging around with Jacob because he likes him. He's hanging around with him because he has an obligation. And through this week, we've seen him gradually go from unwilling sidekick to moronic lackey, lapping everything up and enjoying himself.
Well, we've seen the extent that Leanne would go to protect and try to save her last son. I know it didn't end so well for her, but
Maybe she's given up now. She's like, this is too much effort.
I do wonder whether she could, how far she would go for Simon. I
Beat him to
don't
death with a rolling
think
pin.
they're going to turn Leanne into a killer or anything.
If
but
this can
it would
hit-
have been quite cool if she'd have given a bit of a clobbering.
If Fizz can hit a woman with a chopping board for trying to kidnap her daughter, I think Leanne can beat a man to death with a rolling pin for making her son deal drugs. That's all I'm saying.
She ends up threatening him with Peter. Oh,
I hated
I'm going to get
this.
his dad on you
I
as
really
soon as he's
hated
recovered
this.
from his alcoholism.
Maybe it's because I know that I would never use you to threaten anybody. You wait till my husband comes home and he's going to beat you at Mario Kart.
I can be quite a threat at school, actually.
What, against children?
I'm gonna
There's a
go and
bunch
get
of
Mr.
children
Dodson.
Outside. Well, no, I threaten them with my mum. She's a far scarier teacher than you are.
Anyway, Leanne stomps off because, through all of this, Jacob's just finding it all amusing, isn't he?
Well, she's not really. There was a bit where he was like, I don't know, she might hit me with his rolling pin, but I'm going to gamble no.
Yeah. So she goes off and she sees Carla handily in the street, and Carla's
She's
we ought to. I think we better go down the police station now. And Leanne says, no, everything's fine. Jacob's got the message. He's done one. All sorted, Carla.
was so
the
weird.
lies continue.
This was stupid. This was silly.
Why? I thought it was just. It's all just supposed to be her saying, "Don't get the police involved," and that's her way of telling Carla it's all over. She thinks that.
I know,
she's
but
gonna
it's
keep it
lying
quiet
again,
now.
isn't it? It's like the
I know,
story
it's
is
silly
just
lying again,
perpetuated
but-
by people lying to one another about things.
Well, that's Corrie, isn't it, in
Yeah.
a nutshell sometimes. So Carla goes home, says, Peter says, thanks for helping me out with all this today. Jacob, meanwhile, has made a hole in the sofa, just for lols. And we have another scene of Peter at the end. And I thought he was going to collapse or something. He just had another little bit of a wobble. He came out the back, didn't he? And the camera was all a bit brown.
This is weird.
Murky.
It is weird because I assume we're supposed to think, oh, I wonder if he's drinking. What is he doing? Is he just going on walks? It's not very dramatic if that's what it turns out to be.
I hope
But
it's
can't
something
think-
interesting. I don't want
yeah,
it
but
to
I
be
can't think
drinking
of what
either.
it can be. Like, what is he doing? Like, Tai Chi in the dark? And he's coming home all tired out from it? Or is he part of Tyrone and Alina's sexy yoga class?
Yeah, maybe that's it. I don't know. I have got... I don't care.
Right,
I
no,
literally
okay.
do not care. I know we were supposed to care, but...
Well, then that's not
And
talk about
when we
it.
had the Peter and Carla relationship stuff the other week, I said, actually, I find the drinking thing more interesting. This week just went to prove to me, no, I'm kind of over that as well now.
I thought it was very interesting when Carla was like trying to hide the fact that Simon was in trouble from Peter, and I really thought that was a good scene because I could sympathise with why both people were doing. I could see why Carla was trying to hide this from Peter, but I could also see that it was really not the right thing to do.
Do you think that Peter should be told, even though he might not be able to cope with it? It was just one of these, and again, typical soap conundrums of like, if he has any more stress, he'll die. Just as the
Stress was the
massive
theme of this
stressful
week.
thing is going on for him.
He's going to find out eventually, And he is the dad.
He's going to find out eventually and go, why didn't you tell me? Rah, rah, rah.
And he'll probably say...
Carla and Peter
he'll probably
split up
go,
again.
Carla, you don't know because you don't have your own kids. And she'll go, Peter!
Exactly that.
How could you say that?
Exactly.
How could you use my uterus against me?
Yeah. This story was going great guns until today when the inclusion of Carla and Peter just deflected from what I wanted to see, which was more menacing Jacob and Simon doing his best, bless him, to be a proper baddie.
I did a poll on our Twitter feed, and it's still got 18 minutes left, but so far most people think Carla was not right to lie to Peter about Simon. 63% say no, bad.
Yeah, I think she should probably tell him, because it's just going to make it worse when he does eventually find out. But maybe I'm just thinking that because I know that it will come out, and if it was real life, maybe you think you can keep it.
But the thing is, I thought this was really another fantastic performance from Jane Danson when she was standing at the door in the doorway, and Carla, and she's going, I can't cope, I can't do it, I need help, and just that desperation of her crying for help, and she's not got it, has she? And it's so, I feel really bad for her.
I feel bad for her. I definitely feel bad for her. But
then
I feel bad for Simon as well.
And it's not even her kid. I know Simon is her son, but surely the responsibility lies with Peter, who he's not what's the word? He hasn't disowned Simon, has he?
No.
He just can't be bothered to do anything.
Next best thing, though. He's such a poor
I don't want to diminish adoptive parents, because I think that they're just as important as biological parents. But my point is that Simon does have a biological parent, and he hasn't sort of given him away for adoption. He still wants to be part of his life
when it's convenient for him.
But I don't really think Carla is right to decide for Peter what he's allowed and not allowed to know. But equally, there's nothing Peter's going to be able to do, is it?
I wonder whether, like, maybe Peter might find out second, third hand via, like, Amy tells Steve, tells Peter, because we had those scenes last week, didn't we? Or was it the week before? I can't remember, of Peter and Steve together. So maybe that's how we'll find out. I don't know, but he will somehow. Yeah, I thought that Jane Danson was fantastic again this week. I really, really did feel bad for Leanne. I thought the arguments that she and Simon were having were really, really well done. There were some great performances on Monday and Wednesday's episodes, particularly. And it's another one of these situations that they've done a good job of giving you good reason to sympathise for both of them. I don't think either of them are coming across, to me at least, as overreacting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few bits where I'm watching this going, that doesn't really make sense, but on the whole, the conflicts are quite well.
Yeah, that's like with Simon that's trying to, do the best for his mum. He's trapped in this situation.
It does really feel to me.
He can see that she's struggling and can't raise the family properly,
yeah,
so he's stepping in the only way he can.
It really does feel to me as though it's another case of the same thing that happened to Sean, where if she just said something to somebody, this would stop. Like, Nick, I know you moved out and everything, and I said I didn't need money for the bills, but Simon's doing drugs to pay for toast.
But I don't know whether it would stop. The way that Jacob is describing the situation to Simon is it would get worse if more people found out about it. Whereas Sean's situation literally
that's
was
just what a stupid kid's telling another stupid kid. So if Nick comes
There's
in,
a shady world of...
I know it's a shady world of drugs, but at the moment Jacob's the only one around.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if my point, Michael, is that Leanne could have stopped this from happening by just saying to Nick, I actually would quite like help with the bills.
Yeah, she's a bit too proud for that, isn't she?
I think that's stupid. I don't think you should be proud if you've got kids.
Mm.
You can be proud if you want to, but you got to swallow it, and
Mm.
And also another thing, where's the food banks? Food banks exist. It would be quite nice if Coronation Street had a story where a family used a food bank, because people need them. People use them. There's nothing wrong with using them if you need them. That's what they're for. We shouldn't need them, but we should destigmatise people that go to them. And Corrie be quite an interesting story, especially considering
we've had a couple of nice characters come out of food banks in the last decade. Dennis Tanner was at a food bank, as was Maddie Heath.
Yeah, but we haven't had one recently, and I think that they're much more widespread, unfortunately, in this country now than they have been before.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to change.
What you were saying earlier about kids kind of got me thinking again about Leanne slagging off Toya and using her childlessness against her, which I'm starting to get a bit fed up of now.
Well, imagine if you were Toya then.
But it did make me wonder, like, what's going on with the fostering story? Has that stopped? Has it just been put on a very, very long hold? Because it was lovely at Christmas, but it doesn't feel like it's gone anywhere since then. And it doesn't feel like it's, going to be coming back anytime soon.
Put it off.
Sad.
Keep putting this fostering storyline off until R. Kelly's old enough to not get fostered, because I am terrified of her. I
think you might manage it, I think she's going to be 18 before long.
Please, so. God. I was going to say something inappropriate. I'm going to say it anyway. I must be the only person in the world with a countdown clock for a teenage girl for a completely different reason to everybody else on the planet.
Fine. Anything else with this one? Sam, also good.
Very
Mostly
cute.
There at the beginning of the week.
I want to say just quickly, I've heard people saying that they are starting to tire of his cute boy act. I can't say that I have, but I can see... I'm not. You don't want too much sugar, do you?
The first episode he was in, he was just fantastically lovely, amazing, and the shine has worn off. The initial, I'm not bowled over.
Well, it's not novelty anymore.
Yeah, exactly. My eyes aren't glistening every time he's in the show.
This is why we don't have children, because it wears off really quick with us.
After a couple of months. But no, I'm still enjoying him, and I thought that stuff with Simon was good the other day. And what I really, really did like as well was the little interactions he had with Roy when they were talking about the long division there in the cafe, and I'm thinking, oh, could that be a little relationship there between Roy and Sam? Meeting of minds, I don't know. But anyway, jolly good stuff, this story. I very much enjoyed that.
Good story. Let's talk about Jeffrey Metcalf, a.k.a. Yasmeen, or Yasmin, depending on how you want to read the script out loud. Can they have a meeting at Coronation Street where they all agree on how to say certain words, please? There's not very many of them, but they're still a bit irritating, aren't they?
Yes.
And... on Monday, Elaine comes around to number 4 and finds out that Jeff has left everything that he owned, which is half of everything that Yasmeen had, to Tim. And Adam comes over and he says, oh, this is a significant amount of money. You should probably think twice before you give it back to her. And if you want her to get it, you still have to have it and then give it to her, which is actually not true.
Yeah, you did a bit of research into this, didn't you?
Yeah, there's a word, I can't remember what it is, but there's a word, and you can just say it. I'm not going to have it. You can.
I thought you
legally
said like deflection or something.
It's something. It's some word. It's some legal word that just means that you say, I don't fancy this inheritance. Thank you very much. Because honestly, there's no way. It just logically, if you think about it logically, there's no way that somebody could make you have something.
I wish somebody would try with me though.
But no, imagine if they
take this money. Oh, go on.
No, imagine if they left you like some kind of rat-infested, like house full of rusty nails in Scotland, and they're like, if somebody breaks in and kills himself, you're going to get sued, and you're like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do with a rusty castle in Scotland?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like some things are a bit of a liability, and it would be a bit. Or imagine if
give it to Yasmeen.
Imagine if you were an eccentric old dear and you had a horrible nephew and he was your only relative and he was allergic to cats, so you just got loads and loads of cats and then left them to him in the will. Yeah, that'd be a bit malicious, wouldn't it? In fact, now I'm thinking about it, I might plan for some malicious bequeathments. So, anyway, Adam gives out really terrible legal advice. What's new? Over at Speed Dial, Yasmeen's gone. She's got another call about wanting money from a company, and Elaine says, "Oh, I might leave actually," and then she also tells Alia about the inheritance. And Alia, as you might expect, had a very measured and appropriate response. Very cool. She didn't let it go to her head.
That's all right.
No, what she does do is dump a bunch of magic stuff outside Tim and Sally's house. And if she'd listened to the podcast, she'd know that could go for quite a lot on eBay. Especially if it's, what was it, Johnny's magic box or whatever it was. I was like, Dean's magic cube or something. She's shouting and screaming at them, and they don't really understand what's going on. Elaine says sorry about this Tim goes round and tries to shout through the door, I'm not going to steal your money, I'll give it back to you. And then they're like, oh, let him in. Oh, thank you, how gracious. They don't apologise. He just says, sorry, I didn't know anything about this. But Yasmeen is still like freaking out because this is so much stress.
And she doesn't want it, does she?
I'm getting stressed about this, just thinking, what?
She doesn't want it, does she?
What, stress? No, I don't want stress
the money.
either.
Tim's saying, I'm just saying, I want you to have all my money. And Yasmeen's
the thing,
like, I don't want it, thank you
But
very
she's
much.
being silly because she didn't say she didn't want it before Tim had half of it, and now she suddenly doesn't want it anymore. This reminds me of what Carla did. This storyline is very, very annoying to me because it feels a bit like Coronation Street. Unfortunately, it's the fact that they've done it with two previously very strong-willed women who have had a mental health crisis and then said, I'm giving all my stuff away and now I'm going to be a nomad.
So you're referring to Carla in the factory?
Carla, when she had her issues, she gave the factory away for no reason apart from a plot device. And to me, it makes it feel as though Coronation Street's like, oh, women are so hysterical and irrational. Let's just have them give away all their stuff. You know, this isn't a normal thing for people to do, and then they've had two female characters do it in this very short amount of time.
Well, I don't think it makes any difference whether it's a female or not. It just happens that it has been.
You don't, because you're not a woman, Michael. But in history, women have been constantly put down on for being hysterical and emotional, for having mental health crises that are often brought on by blooming men, like Jeff.
It does feel like everything that went on this week just seemed to be a long-winded way of getting Elaine and also George to stay on the street.
Yes, I know, but what I'm trying to say to you is that you're not very sensitive to the fact that women have often been stigmatised for their mental health issues.
I know.
So that's why I am saying I think this is silly.
Okay.
So, anyway.
George, what's he up to?
On Wednesday, Alia's trying to make Yasmeen sell the community centre. And she's like, no, I'm sad. And then George looks at it and goes, oh, do you know what would look really great here? And I'm like, oh, yes, a pet shop. And he says, a funeral parlour. Because it's near a florist and a solicitor and a cafe. And he's got a point. He forgot to say it's near Costa to get coffee. Oh, he did say cafe.
He said Boys is next door.
And it's near the co-op, so you can get a magazine when you're bored at the funeral parlour. Yasmeen's getting more bills. There's one from the HMRC. Nobody likes one of those. She opens it and she's flapping around going, this is a disaster. She phones Alia up. She's gone crazy. George sees her in the street. She's stalking about trying to get to Alia and says, I want to buy your community centre. She's like, leave me alone.
Both George and Tim were blissfully ignorant of Yasmeen's imminent breakdown during this episode,
This was so funny because I know that often, like, the stereotype is that men will say, you have to spell out to me how you're feeling because you think you're giving me hints, but I'm not picking up on the hints that you're giving me. You're being too subtle. If this is what they think is a subtle hint, as a woman literally screaming at them, I'm going crazy, leave me alone, and they still don't get it, I don't know what else can be said. So she's screaming, and he's like, ooh, I guess I should go through this list, the estate agent. She leaves, she goes to speed dial, she says, the government are going to lock me up. The court summons, I've had warnings, I'm going to go to prison. And Arlene says, don't worry about it, Tim's going to give us money. I don't know why she thinks this is going to make any difference, because before today, that's what they thought was going to happen anyway. George comes in to speed dial, and he starts talking again about buying this community centre. And Eileen says...
He's just not picking up on the hints, is he?
No.
So, Yasmeen.
Yeah.
Can I have the community centre, please?
She's you guys all know that we're trying to buy houses at the moment. And can you imagine
just
what it'd be like?
Nice.
One would be nice. We only need one. Because the stamp duty is too much if you get more than one. So if you go to someone's house and they're like screaming, going, no, this is a disaster. Oh my, you're like, I don't know if you're mentally prepared for the intense stress and paperwork that selling a property involves over many, many months. I think I'm not going to bother. So
I think he's seen her and goes, oh, looks like there's some good play for wailing widows around here. It's good for the old undertaking industry.
So yeah, Eileen's like, I think that she doesn't want to talk to you, and she's like, oh. She gets on the phone to Alia. Tim comes round saying, "Oh, money, money." She's like, "Ah!" Jeff's everywhere. She's freaking out. She's shouting. She goes home and she locks herself in and falls on the floor.
We get another classic Coronation Street sound effects harrowing fisheye. This new actually, the fisheye lens during the panic attack, wasn't it? Usually it's just like a bit wobbly and blurry, but this was a little bit different. But it was an effects heavy couple of scenes.
So you see a fisheye lens effect of Alia at the door going, "Gran, open the door, Gran," and it's always really funny how if you actually listen in a scene like this where a character's freaking out to the characters that are talking to them, it also sounds like they're freaking out as well, because they're trying to say their lines and make everything sound like a sort of scary cacophony of noise. But Alia was basically could see her gran was inside having a panic attack or stressing out, and she's going, "Gran, open the door, Gran, open the door, please let me in, Gran, I need to come in, Gran." It's like, that's not gonna help, is it? This is not a soothing thing to say. So she collapses on the floor. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
And Alia sees her, runs around the back, finds her, and she's saying, "I can't breathe." So that she basically ends up going to hospital. And Sally tells Tim. Elaine, Sally and Tim find out. And Tim's like, "Oh, this is my fault." And so they go to visit her.
Yeah, I feel bad for them because they were in the middle of perving over Alan Titchmarsh, weren't they? Had to have it interrupted to go to the hospital to go and see Yasmeen.
Sad. They keep her in overnight, and that's it.
That's about it, really, isn't it?
She recovers.
Yeah,
it wasn't a
she's
heart
fine.
attack. It was just a panic attack. Well, I say just a panic attack. They're not very much fun.
It was just a major panic attack.
Just a major panic attack. It was just your brain trying to make you think you were dying. Don't worry about it. It might happen again, though. That's not helpful, is it? Yasmeen says, I'm not mentally ill. I just need to tell you that my husband was horrible, basically. I think this is good to destigmatise panic attacks, because I've had one, you've had one. They're horrible. It's scary, and you don't worry about it if you've had them, because they go away. That's the thing you just need to remember.
Yeah.
Is that it's not going to permanently happen to you. It's just something you need to get through, and then you can laugh about it on a podcast. So Elaine and the Metcalfs are talking about Yasmeen, and Tim says, "I think you could help her." And Elaine really needs a project at the moment, even though she's just got a new dog, so I think she'd probably concentrate on that, but never mind. The doctors say to Alia, she might need counselling or antidepressants.
You might need it as well, Alia. You're a bit of a downer, aren't you?
God, you're sourpuss. And Alia says, "I miss how Gran used to be," which I thought was really sad.
We all do.
I know, but it's sad.
We're seeing bits of it every now and then.
Alia is not sure that Yasmeen's going to go for the old medication route, but she also doesn't want to do counselling. She says, "I'm not going to talk about my business with a stranger." They're back home again, and Alia says, "You're just going to end up back in hospital again." Why has nobody recommended yoga? I hear there's a really good class at the community centre. Not for much longer. Elaine comes over later, and Yasmeen says, "You know what, you're right, I probably should go and see..."
Imagine doing yoga around the coffins in a funeral parlour.
Imagine knocking one over.
Ooh.
You should go and
Zombie
see
Ted coming out.
the GP. I will go and see it. And then I wasn't paying attention to this, but Yasmeen told Elaine that she gets some speed dial shares.
She doesn't want Jeff's share of speed dial. She wants anybody else to have it, and she says that Elaine deserves to have it. And Elaine's like, "Well, I haven't done anything. I don't know anything about Pakistani cuisine. Why should I have this?" And also at the same time, Yasmeen's saying, "And Alia, I want you to have Jeff's bit of the house."
Nonsense.
She just doesn't want anything from him.
But I wish she would just think that it's her house. It's not his house. She's like, "Fine, I'll keep the house then, but Elaine needs to take the shares because Jeff, that would really annoy him and it'd be funny. So they agree that is what's going to happen.
It doesn't take long for Elaine to decide, does it? Like 2 scenes ago, she was like, no, I'm not having this. Don't be so ridiculous. There's no way I'm going to have your Pakistani street food restaurant shares. And then she's like, oh, I can earn money from this. Yes, please.
Yeah. She says, I'll take the shares as long as you stay in this house. And then they have a drink. And then Elaine's like, the only thing is that I live in Bolton and it's so far away, I might have to move here. And then Yasmeen says, why don't you live here? And she goes, I wasn't fishing. She
was taking a page out of Paul's book, wasn't it? Yeah. He spent the first half of the week going and telling everyone, oh, my living situation
with babies.
With Chesney in the quads is so bad.
Gemma hogs the bathroom. So, looks like it's going to be Elaine and Yasmeen as like one half of the Weatherfield Golden Girls. Yeah. Living in a house together, being roomies, doing each other's hair.
It could be good. I mean, it feels a little bit like when they had Kathy move in with Yasmeen for a little bit, and then we didn't really see very much of it for a while. I'm not saying I've gone off Elaine, but I'm not as enthused by her character as I was.
I still
in the middle of the Jeff and Yasmeen story last year. I still quite like her, but I almost want the story to move on and for them to have an adventure
that's not Jeff.
That's not to do with Jeff. Yeah,
they need to go to a village where there's been a murder.
So anything that it's in one way, it's commendable that both this story and the Ollie story are kind of continuing in a way, and obviously they've both taken different turns since then. And I'm very surprised, honestly, that Jane Danson and Shelley King have still got so much to do this year. But I'm kind of ready, particular for this one, for it to move on. And I know it's going to take her a while to recover and everything, but I'm not as engaged with it. It feels like it's petering out rather than
going anywhere,
than carrying on as interesting, because it hits such highs.
Yeah, it's hard to maintain it.
Yeah.
I really, honestly, I know that was a throwaway line I just said, but I have just been struck with inspiration and I've decided it's the best idea ever that anyone's ever had. Well, Corrie used to do the spin-off DVDs. And
yeah, I do. We watched the QE2 one just this week.
So, I think that they should do one with Elaine and Yasmeen going to a country cottage and having a murder mystery, but I don't think they should brand it as Coronation Street. I think they should just have like a feature-length episode featuring 2 characters from Coronation Street and have them do something that's different, but maintain the characters that they've established in Coronation Street, and see if anybody who's not into Corrie would watch it, because I think it would be quite good. I think they're both really talented actresses. I think the characters are really interesting, and I think that it'd be really quite fun to watch them solve a crime. Don't you think that would be kind of cool?
Yeah.
There's no reason why the standalone ones have to be totally branded to Coronation Street.
No.
And if there's one thing I know from watching just random telly, everybody loves crime dramas now.
Yes, they do. I think they've got good chemistry together, the two of them. But I'm not feeling this story as much.
If anybody wants to send me money to get this made, PayPal me.
We don't know where our new address is going to be yet.
No, PayPal me.
I did really enjoy the panic attack stuff. I thought that was quite nicely done, and I know I don't always like the special effects stuff, but I thought that was good this week. I didn't think Yasmeen was going to die or anything, but
I thought she might be having a heart attack.
I felt it was. Oh yeah, I was quite surprised, honestly, when they said it was a panic attack on Friday.
I would say I thought it was a panic attack and a heart attack.
I thought it was very stressful watching it, wasn't it?
Yes, it was very stressful watching that, and it was very stressful watching watching Jacob terrorising Leanne. Don't you think?
I didn't think that bit was stressful. I just thought it was fun. What do you reckon about the old community centre potentially closing then? Sad, or have we kind of got over it because it hasn't actually been used as a community centre for the best part of a year now? I don't even think, to be honest, it's ever really hit its stride. Because it's such a small little building, isn't it?
It reminds me of the gym, where you're thinking, oh great, they could do this, that and the other, and then they never do.
No, they kind of use it for half-term clubs for the school. The
I
odd
wonder-
silly exercise class every now and then, and that's about it.
I wonder whether the issue is that it relies too much on complicated extra background work, because you either have to have a bunch of characters in there doing things, like a pub scene, I guess, but it's much more involved and complicated. And we know from hearing what people have said to us about stuff like, oh, I hate doing wedding scenes because you sit there for days on end doing nothing. Maybe if they had like a pottery class, maybe it's more complicated than we think to have people there doing stuff that isn't just sitting there talking to each other in the background of a pub.
I don't know.
I don't know either, but it seems weird that they had this thing and they never did anything.
I can't say if it does close. I'm only speculating here. I can't say that I'll be that sad to see the back of it. I thought it was a nice idea when it started, and I like having the idea of Yasmeen being a business owner and her having her own little project. But I
agree with you, but I don't want a funeral parlour.
I don't mind a funeral. Why don't you mind?
If people are going to be upset by a funeral, a comedy funeral, they're not going to enjoy a comedy funeral home, which is what it's going to be.
Oh, well,
if it's not a comedy funeral home, it's going to be a tragic funeral home, and that's worse.
No, I don't mind. I mean, I'm not thinking about what everyone else think about it, but it does seem that Coronation Street wants to just make it so that nobody who lives there ever has to leave the confines of Coronation Street, Rosamond Street, Victoria Street, and there certainly are a lot of funerals that need to take place here, so why not? I don't know what they could do. The thing is that people don't need to go to funeral parlours very often.
This is the thing. It's not like there's repeat customers.
They do. Yeah.
How many people die? How many major characters die on Coronation Street every year? Like one or like two or three, maybe, major characters.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. But I don't mind. I mean, maybe it is the fact that they want to have a place that, because it's such a small building, and they don't want to have lots of people. They want somewhere that not lots of people have to go in. I don't know.
Shop.
It's fine. It's fine.
Well, I don't know whether they're going to.
I think they need to do something with George, because he's been in the show 6 months now and not really made that much of an impression. So, yeah, fine, whatever. Anything else to add to this one? What are your thoughts on it?
I've given my thoughts.
Have you? Are you getting bored of the story, or are you still invested?
I liked the story. I really like the idea of how is she coping, and the aftermath and financial abuse, and the pitfalls of it. But it feels like it doesn't feel realistically handled, because she's dealing with the aftermath of him taking out loans in her name as a sort of a malicious kind of way to control and abuse her, and her response is to give it away.
Do you think that she should give it away?
It feels really disjointed, and there's no plan, because one minute she's selling the community centre, the next minute she's giving out shares of her business. She's either really desperate for cash or she's not. She either wants to sell the community centre or she doesn't, and if she doesn't, she needs to come up with a plan. Do you see what I mean? It's like, oh, the bills are too much and I can't cope, but I'm going to give away my assets. I don't actually even know whether you could. If you're about to enter bankruptcy and you give assets away to your relatives and friends, is that not a massive red flag that you're not actually allowed to do? Is that not what Pat Phelan did when he was going to go bankrupt and he put his house in his wife's name? Isn't that what dodgy people do?
Oh, yeah.
I just don't think that this would work. I think that the people she owes money to would say, no, you can't give that to Elaine. That's ours.
I don't know. Right, let's move on.
Can you see how it's either a problem or it isn't?
Yeah. I want to talk about the Nina and Asha story now. So,
this was sweet.
This is very sweet. So, Nina is, we learn over the course of the week, definitely not as invested in this relationship as Asha is, and she's on Monday trying to put Asha off coming along bat watching with her and Roy, and Asha says, well, as we're a couple, we should do more things together. Maybe I'll come along to you bat watching, it'll be fine. And Nina is being very insistent that we should have our own interests too, She's also got a little project going on there where she takes some corset designs to Nick and Sarah thinks they're brilliant and wants some more short designs. So it looks like I kind of got lost with what Nina's did with Underworld anyway, because I thought she was already doing some designs for them anyway from a few months ago.
Yes, she was.
But is she just maybe freelance Nick a drawing? I don't know.
Well, it seemed like she was pitching.
Yeah.
And this was like the dream meeting, wasn't it? She goes in, she says, here's a picture that you asked for. And they said, yeah, I like it. Can you do it in black? And she says, yeah. You asking me? Of course I can. And they're like, great, meeting adjourned.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
30
Please
seconds.
sign me up
Sorted.
to the Sarah and Nick School of Business meetings. That's the only thing they can do right, to be honest.
We had Amy making a brief appearance in the story as well later. She goes into the cafe and has a bit of a go at Nina because Asha's told her that she's blown off in favour of this bat watching with Roy. And so Nina realises maybe that Asha, she needs to apologise to her. So she goes over there and Asha is upset that Nina's been talking to Amy about them. And Asha says, yeah, sorry for sharing our secrets. But in any case, it is definitely good for us to have our own hobbies and we don't need to be in each other's pockets all the time, do we, Asha? No, that's not right. Actually, it's Asha that says that. I'm remembering now because she then goes on to say, yes, it's good for us to have our own interests. And Nina kind of smiles to make as if to say, yes, you got it. And then Asha says, yeah, I read that online, which Nina thinks is a bit... She's not too impressed that she didn't come to that decision herself. She just read it on her socials or something. So Nina ends the episode by talking to Roy about Asha and how bat watching really wouldn't be her thing. And she also makes some kind of pointed remark about the fact that Asha hasn't updated her relationship status on her social media yet. Roy's got no idea what she's talking about. Wednesday, it is Dev's birthday. Happy birthday, Devster. The twins have got a card for him, but no present, so it looks like they're going down the classic surprise party route, which, as far as I remember, the last time they did that with Dev, it kind of spoilt some sort of date that he had with Stella or something like that, but they're going to give it for another go. He goes off to the bistro, they giggle about the surprise party or whatever it is they've got planned. Meanwhile, in the cafe, Nina is saying that she's fine about this party being family only. Now, what was the thing? I kind of lost track of this. Did she like pretend that she pretended that she had to work or something, didn't she? She didn't really she doesn't really want to go along to Dev's birthday party, does she?
I don't think she does.
Because she doesn't want to be, married off, I think she says, later off to Asha. It's all getting a bit too fast and a bit too heavy for her when she's just interested in a bit of fun and spoken word poetry sessions. So Nina and Aadi have a little scene later in the cafe, and he says that Asha's sulking because she thinks they've had some kind of row or something yesterday.
I'm really not liking how much Asha's going off and talking to other people, and they're coming back to Nina. This is the second time now, because didn't Amy do this last week? No,
she did it this week. I literally was talking about it while you would not listen to me and fiddling around on the iPad.
Well, okay. I still understand the relationship.
Yeah.
I still watched it.
Well, I think she's just not over the moon to be in a relationship and wants to talk and tell everyone about it.
No, she's moaning to people. She seems to be moaning about Nina to other people.
Oh, yeah, I suppose so.
She's not going, oh, Nina's so great. Mm. She's going, oh, Nina doesn't like me anymore. She did have a scene with Aadi today saying, oh, Nina's so great, but... Anyway,
not
the most important thing about this scene is that Aadi's got to have a waz.
Yes, yeah, he goes off to have a waz, doesn't he? Yeah. Later, and Nina is with Asha at the house, and they're making this family photo album. So Nina's come up with the idea that they get all the family publicity photos together and stick them all in the photo album together with the twins and Dev and Sunita and various incarnations of Aadi.
I can't believe how old Sunita was when she died.
35 when she was died.
She might as well just have thrown herself down the stairs.
Anyway, they have a bit of a Dead Mothers Club bonding session because both of them lost their dear mothers before.
It's like the Dead Poets Society.
Before there was
Dead Mothers Club. It's not
a good age. So Asha says, look, come along to this party. Nina says, I want to, but I can't. And I don't know whether Nina wants to or not. But anyway, Aadi hears Roy later thanking Nina for offering to stay on later, because Nina's making out that she can't go to the party, but it looks like, she has said to Roy, can I stay and work at the cafe? And Aadi goes to her and says,
why.
Yeah, Aadi says, look, you need to appreciate what you got with my sister, actually. You blah, blah, blah.
Aadi's going to Nina, why do you think you can get out of this bloody party with Dev?
Dev thinks, no.
He's going to be your future father-in-law. You've got to suffer with me.
Asha admits that it maybe feels a bit too soon to be going to these family occasions, but they all go anyway. Asha's chuffed when Nina tags along with Aadi.
Asha or Nina?
What? Asha is chuffed when Nina...
No, before that you said... Nina decides to go, does she?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Dev thinks the family album's great, is very happy with the golf experience that Aadi's giving him, and Dev is so happy that he wants to make a speech, so he does, and he raises a toast to his kids, who are all thoroughly decent human beings, he says, and he also wants to thank Nina for making his little girl smile again. He says, you're part of the family now, and we're never going to let you go, ever. And Nina's like, uh-oh. She does a fairly good job of covering up these alarm bells that are ringing in her head, but you can tell that she desperately wants an exit strategy. She ends up just staying there for a little bit, doesn't she? Because she has to go back to the cafe again, or so she says. And Roy has a bit of a go at her for leaving the cafe, and she tells him, like, I'm actually kind of struggling with this because the Alahans have married me off already to Asha. We just need a little bit of fun. I had a rough few years, what with my dad being ill and everything, and I'm not ready to settle down quite yet. So Roy lets her go over to Asha and try and sort this all out, and Asha's too busy gushing about how awesome Nina is and how she loves her, and Nina is like, oh my gosh, she said the L word. Back in the cafe, Nina tells Roy, I just need to get over my commitment issues. I think if Asha loves me, and I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, maybe I should just go along and accept her love.
Her analogy was, I thought she thought it was kind of,
if there were two doors and one of them had Asha behind and one of them didn't, I'd go in through the one with Asha behind.
She said, if there was a door with Asha or a door with nobody, I would pick the door with Asha. And I think she thinks that is supposed to be the reason to date her, but it really is not. It's not. You can be alone and you can be happy. And if you're with the wrong person, it's worse.
Is she kind of saying that if it isn't Asha, nobody else would have me? So...
No, I don't think so. I think she's just saying, I don't know. I don't think she's got that little self-confidence. I just think that, I think she's trying to convince herself that it's good, that this relationship is good and is going to work out. But I think she knows deep down inside that she has reservations.
And Nina comes across as the sort of person to me that doesn't necessarily need to be in a relationship.
I agree with
Even
you.
the whole bit about just needing a bit of fun. It's like, I think she's perfectly fine, content with her own company, really, because she was locked up in a flat with her dad and just getting on with the drawings and everything.
I think she's going a bit mental.
I don't know. I'm not surprised.
Use a stereotypical word.
I'm not surprised that she's not really enjoying all this attention that she's getting. Do you think that Asha is coming on too strong? Can you blame her for what she's doing?
Say that again.
Can you blame Asha for coming on so strong? Do you think that...
Now, I didn't want to say anything about this before I just quickly double-checked this was a thing. But I believe there is a stereotype that lesbian relationships move quite quickly, and like there's like a joke, like a lesbian second date is buying a house together.
So I've never heard this.
Well, I don't know that you would have much occasion to.
I guess not.
I don't know how true that is, but it's a stereotype that exists, and I think that you could argue that Asha is a sort of in that frame of mind. I think she's been hurt by boys before. She feels scared, but she thinks that Nina would never hurt her, and I don't think she can imagine not being with Nina in the future. Like, she thinks that her whole future is with Nina.
But she's never had like proper boyfriend before.
Corrie.
There was Corrie, but she always felt that it was something a bit off here, and so it almost feels like this is her first proper relationship. And I think she's like, in the thralls of first proper love, and is
it's
maybe
sweet. Yeah, I think it's partly that. It's partly that she feels safe with Nina in a way that she might not with a boy, because you know, women tend to be more emotionally engaged and perhaps a bit more sensitive. So maybe she thinks that Nina would be more in tune with how she feels. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she feels like Nina rescued her in a way from Corrie as well, hasn't she?
Yeah.
So she's just blinded by all of that, really. And so I think it's very very believable, her reaction. Both of them are, really. I think it's quite a nice little story, the way this is ticking along.
I think it's really interesting. I think it feels a very honest and unsensational lesbian relationship.
It feels very unsensational, which is kind of what,
and it's in total contrast to the Kate and Rana stuff.
Yeah.
And anybody that can understand why we were criticising Kate and Rana, I wonder what they think now of the way that Nina and Asha are being portrayed, and whether they can see the difference in the titillation and the fan baiting that went on with Rana and Kate compared to this. This feels very respectful of their experiences of being lesbians, or whatever label they want to use for themselves. I just think this is tactful and sweet and realistic and a bit messy, just like a real relationship. I think they are expecting us to be a bit more invested in this relationship than any others, because if you'll notice, there's a lot of there's so much detail going on here about the very minute details of he said, she said, so-and-so told me this, are you sure that you feel that way about it? Most people on Coronation Street, when they get into a relationship, you know, it's
up them stairs, missus.
Yeah, it's like snog each other, jump in bed, think about it afterwards, and then we never see them again until they break up. There's so much care and attention that has been taken with how this relationship is developing. I just really appreciate it, and I think it's lovely, and I don't know where it's going to go, and I don't know if next year they're going to still be together, but I really like the fact that they're being given so much breathing room.
Yeah, no, I do as well. I was disappointed that it didn't carry on Friday, though. They're just doing it in, you know, little chunks, aren't they? This story, it seems to, at the moment.
That was my nickname when I was a girl.
But I'm again just loving everything about it. Dev's amazing. I love it when he was talking about being on cloud 11, and Aadi as well. Just
Aadi's
fantastic.
Turning into a tiny Dev.
He's so good.
It's such a funny little...
I really hope he gets his own story soon, because he does feel like a bit of a hanger-on to this, doesn't he?
I know, but I still really appreciate it. I'd much rather him like this than, you know, moaning at Asha for sleeping with a boy like he was before.
Yeah,
and getting all teenage angsty. I think they've really, it's quite astonishing how quickly they've managed to settle into a really nice groove of who Aadi is and how he should be written for and how he's played.
Yeah.
Right, shall I do the hallucinating?
Yeah.
So on Monday, Johnny and Gary are talking about their relationship issues, and he's like, Gary, just hang in there with Maria. It's just a blip, because Gary's like, I feel like my relationship with Maria's over. Hardly ever see her these days. And they're talking about the fact that there's a drug dealer who is worried that somebody's encroaching on his patch, and it turns out it's a bit of a misunderstanding, but in prison, misunderstandings tend to get a bit stabby.
Yeah, end in a shanking.
So the drug dealer goes to Johnny and says, somebody's seen you with drugs, with pills. I'm the one that deals the pills around here, not you. And Johnny's like, oh no, I haven't done anything. And so then he gets a booting. That's a booting. Ed asks Jenny how Johnny is, and she's like, oh, you know, he gets through it.
She's kind of masking
her sadness at being separated. Yeah. Jenny's being beaten up while she's talking about this.
Johnny is.
Yeah.
He's fine. Ooh. Yeah.
Ed, why are you beating me? I'm answering your question. Why are you so intensely interested? Daisy's dilly-dallying about. She's getting ready to go out with Jenny. Then Jenny gets a phone call about about Johnny being beaten up, and Daisy's mad because she wanted to have fun.
She wanted to have Jenny all for herself.
So Johnny gets a visit from Jenny, and he's like, "Oh, nothing. You should see the other guy." Ha ha ha. And she says, "Listen, tell me the real truth of what is happening." And he admits to her that he has not been taking his pills. And she says, "You're a silly man. Naughty, naughty, naughty." And he says, "I just want to see Aiden's face." And Jenny says, "If you do that, you do exactly what Aiden did to this family, only slower and in plain sight," which was a very chilling and scary thing probably for Johnny to hear, and it kind of shakes him up, doesn't it? Jenny returns and Daisy's got a takeaway, and Jenny tells her about Johnny, and Daisy says, "Oh, she's choosing his dead son's ghost over you." And Jenny says, "I would feel the same way about Tom." And this is interesting because I assume that Daisy and Tom were brother and sister.
I think so, maybe. I'm not completely sure about that.
I'm waiting for Daisy to reveal that the reason that she is trying to break Jenny and Johnny up is because she secretly wants Jenny to get back with her dad.
I don't know.
Daisy says, "You deserve 1,000,000 times better than Johnny. You need to end it. There's nothing left worth fighting for." So on Wednesday, she's still moaning about Johnny and saying he takes her for granted. And Jenny's getting annoying, and Daisy gets annoyed and leaves. And so Daisy starts texting somebody. And then we find out...
On Jenny's phone.
Naughty lady. Don't ever leave your phone anywhere if you're on a soap. Take it with you at all times. The bloke from the bistro turns up, and it was
the bloke who was winking at Jenny a few weeks ago.
And then Daisy went over to... Yeah. So... He's you know, sort of
he's
and
quite
Jenny's
a charmer.
like, oh. And she says, "Go and talk to him." Daisy says, go and talk to him." So he goes over and says, "Oh, should we have a drink?" And Jenny says, "Oh, I don't think my husband would approve, but I'm flattered." And he's like, "What the hell did you invite me here for then?" And Daisy's like, oops.
Yeah, she gets herself a death stare.
I don't see how she thought this would go.
Well, she hoped that Jenny would realise there are, other fish in the sea. Hunky fish.
Daisy's escorted out the back by Jenny, and they have an argument. She says, "I've got no intention of leaving Johnny." Daisy says that Johnny doesn't love her as much as she loves him. And Jenny says, "Everyone's different and they love each other in their own way," which sounds like the sort of thing you would say in court when you're being in trouble for abusing your child. She sends her back to the bar, gets on the phone, and Johnny says, "I haven't taken my meds yet because I just want to see Aiden." And Jenny says, "Look, can you just do it, please? You choose between the living and the dead. Take them for me." And so he does. And Jenny's still mad at Daisy.
That was a really, really heart-wrenching scene at the end there. Johnny,
I know.
he apologises to Aiden, doesn't he? He's like, "I'm sorry, son." I think Richard Hawley's been fab in this. He's
really good.
I'm really a bit sad that this story has been sidelined so much. It comes in every now and then, and we've not seen much. And
he's either a fantastic actor, or he's actually been living in a prison for 6 months because he looks like Elle.
It feels like this should be a bigger story. It feels very simple. It's like he's in prison. There's a baddie. There's a nasty cellmate. He doesn't want to take his medication. Then we leave him for a few weeks, and then he takes it. It feels a little bit simple. And I don't know whether it's over now. Whether, is that it for Johnny until he gets released? Or
who knows?
What did you? What I just thought the whole of this story was filled with lovely performances actually this week. The bit where Jenny goes to see Johnny and has that little heartfelt conversation with him in the visiting room, I thought was fantastic. Both of the characters were played very, very seriously. And, I've sometimes had a problem in the past with them going too far on the comedy side with Jenny's character, but this was very, very heartfelt stuff. And I also really, really appreciated the fact that Daisy got a telling off from Jenny, because we've had too much of, over the past few months, Daisy saying, "You just need to dump Johnny, dump Johnny, dump Johnny," and Jenny going, "Oh yeah, be quiet." But she gave her a proper telling off and talking to. So I was very proud of her for standing up for her man, because I was a little bit worried when I saw that guy from the bistro was there. I was like, oh, what's going to happen is Jenny's almost Johnny's going to say, "I'm not going to take my pills," and Jenny says, "Oh well, you know what, maybe Daisy was right all along, stuff him, I'm going to go out with this other guy." And then Johnny takes his pills and he's like, Jenny, I've chosen you, but it's too late because she's already bunked up with Bistro Man, you know?
No, she goes to the prison and says, Johnny, I've got to tell you something. And he says, before you tell me that, I want you to know I've taken the pills for you. What do you want to say?
Nothing.
And she says, oh my God.
No, it feels like everything's going just the way I want it to in the story at the moment.
But you're
And
still moaning.
No, I'm not moaning
You
about it.
said it was too simple.
It's got a perfect resolution so far, but I'm worried that it's not a resolution. Like, usually when I'm feeling just nicely satisfied about a story, like I am on this one, something else comes up and throws a spanner in the works, and I don't want it to. I mean, surely it can't be over with Daisy already. She's not going to give up telling Jenny to dump Johnny that easily. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm enjoying it while I can. You know?
Yes.
Do you think that we've seen the last of the Bistro Man? Did he get a name? I don't remember. I called him the Bistro Man. He got a speaking line in this week's episode, which maybe made me think that they've got a bit more for him to do. And he's also, when I was watching it, I was thinking he looks a bit like Carla's bloke Lucas. So I don't know whether, if Jenny was appreciating the attention she got from him, maybe he's her type and she's going to end up going out with Lucas instead.
Somebody in casting's got a type is what that means.
Anyway, this was great stuff. Very, very, very much enjoyed that story this week. Yeah, very proud of Jenny and Johnny for the actions that they took. Paul.
Pull your life together.
Also, great story. What a revelation. Getting Paul away from Billy and
suddenly
Todd.
like him again.
It's like a massive weight has been lifted off this character. And it's like, this is the best I've found Paul for.
It's because he's not scowling in the background like a little boy that's just been told off for not, putting the toilet seat down or something, you know? He was always being scolded by Billy about something.
Yeah, or having horrible flashbacks to his terrible childhood and abuse with Cal. And this wasn't about this. It was
about how to fix a cabinet. And at the end of the day, the moral is nobody knows.
Even if you look it up on YouTube, it's quite
impossible.
hard.
It's impossible.
So next time we have DIY issues here and you tell me to look at a video, I'll say no.
Ask Paul to do it. So on Monday, Paul is moaning about the fact that he lives with babies to Ed. And Ed's like, go and fix a cupboard door, please, in Daniel's house. So he's there. This was funny because he's there and he's sitting on the floor with a screwdriver and the YouTube video. And he's watching it so conspicuously that Daniel cannot help but hear him. At least put your headphones in so that people can't tell that you're doing it. So when he finishes, he's like, there you go. And Daniel's like, are you joking? This is absolutely awful. This is worse than it was before. Ed comes round and says, what's this? And Paul says, I said I did, of course. I didn't say I passed. You should have double checked, shouldn't you? It's your fault, really. And he goes off like sad, doesn't he? And all dejected. And Ed's like, where are you going? And he's like, I thought I was fired. And Ed says, nope. I will make you my new apprentice. And so on Wednesday, Paul goes around to say sorry to Daniel about screwing up his cupboards.
Even though he asked him to screw it up. Come round and screw up my cupboard. I thought you got the wrong end of the stick here, Paul.
Paul, you've done it. You've done exactly what I asked you to. But I didn't mean that.
What was that discussion that Roy and Nina were having about the word literally and figuratively the other day?
I don't know. Paul says, my head's everywhere at the moment. What with the fact that I have to live with twins.
Hint, hint.
I mean, quads. I am a twin. I don't have a problem with that part. It's the quads that I don't like.
You've got one less person living in this house than you did a few years ago, haven't you, Daniel? You got a spare.
How's Sinead? Oh, yeah. She's dead, isn't she? And Daniel says, why don't you live with me? Because this week's Coronation Street was people dying of stress or moving in with people as their roomies.
Yeah. Lovely. I think
Move into Adam's old room, he says. And Paul says,
there's Adam that used to be there as well. It wasn't just Sinead.
So many people have left. I mean, honestly, Daniel's got the most luxurious amount of living space in the entire Weatherfield area. I can't believe that the local housing officer hasn't come round saying, you've got a spare bedroom? We could fit a family of 5 in here. I don't know who you think you are.
Yeah, no, I thought this was great. I mean, there's not much to discuss plot line wise, is there? But
No.
it just feels like he's now got all these opportunities that he never had before. I think that it's shown.
Leaving Billy's the best thing that ever happened.
It's put him in a good light. It's put Ed in a good light.
Yes, it was very nice
and
to
Daniel
see.
as well. All three of those characters there just came across as lovely.
Yeah, this was a really nice a sort of bit of character development for Ed, who said, look, I know you lied to me. I can see why you did. You wanted a job. You know, I kind of made you have the job, to be honest. At the end of the day, he was hassling him, wasn't he? I don't mind, you know, don't lie to me again, but let's train you up. I thought that was sweet.
It was, because,
I think Ed was also going, you know, I'm going to pay you less, of course.
He could have just fired him, but he didn't. I thought, you're right, good moment for Ed.
And he wasn't even like, oh, I'm doing you a favour or anything. He was just like, okay, well, this is how it will be then.
Unfortunately, what I've got in the back of my head is Coronation Street probably do want us to be a bit sadder than we actually are, that Paul and Billy have split up.
No.
And I still think that they're probably going to get back together again, and we'll be watching going, no, he's much, much, much better without him.
The way Coronation Street is going at the moment, with how they have people in relationships, either Paul and Billy will be back together before you can blink, or Daniel will suddenly become gay and Paul and Daniel will be dating.
Well, there's the James possibility, isn't there? What with him hanging around and working for Ed.
I'm only talking about the fact that they like to take, you know, they like to sort of take a character that's been established as one,
yes,
and then go, no.
I don't mind. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with it. But let's move on, because I mean, nothing has happened particularly with it this week. The Downward Dob story. Okay, so this is looking more and more like an affair between Alina and Tyrone is imminent, because Tyrone has indeed been hiding the fact that Alina has been his yoga partner when he accidentally takes her yoga mat home from a session by mistake. So
I don't think it was a mistake. I think he's been sniffing it.
Do you reckon?
No, I don't, but you don't generally tend to accidentally take someone's yoga mat home with you.
I don't know. So he goes back to Alina's to give it to her, and they end up just having nice chats together, and he helps her out learning how a spreadsheet
You
works.
say nice chat, I say patronising nonsense. He was talking to her like a child.
She is a bit.
He gave her the facial expressions
She is a bit
used.
childish.
I know, so he should stop and leave her alone. The facial expressions he was using.
He is quite a lot older than her.
Alan Housel. I'm assuming this is all purposeful, because it was really well done. Because he was just like, oh, little Luna need some help with your spreadsheet. Like, he was just. But it was creepy because it's weird, because he obviously fancies her, but he also thinks she's a child.
I don't know how much I think he does, but also he at the end of the episode he goes back to Fizz and says, "Oh, I think I might give up my yoga," because she'd been ribbing him a bit about it earlier in the episode, and he's like, "Oh yeah, okay, well maybe I'm going to give it in," and she's like, "Oh no, don't give it in to me." But so I'm wondering whether he's realising that things are getting a little bit closer than they should, and he's trying to distance himself from it.
Doesn't get any credit for it.
Because she does flutter her eyelashes at him a little bit.
Wrong.
But it's so sad, because I do like Fizz and Tyrone together, and I don't want him to have a pop at Alina Pop.
I think it's really grim, because Alina has been in very abusive relationships. You know, like the professional one that she had, where she and he is in a similar position of power over her, and that he's much older than she is, and he's like helping her with her work. It's so creepy. I know that people are probably going to be thinking, oh no, he's just being nice and stuff. He's not, is he? He's not.
Tyrone is nice.
You watch it again, you watch his expressions, and the little kind of like, he does this little thing where he kind of gives her a look, and he kind of screws his mouth up and goes like, oh, you can't do the spreadsheet.
I don't remember that at all.
Well, listen also to the tone of his voice, because he puts on a very specific tone of voice when he talks to her.
Okay.
And it made my toes curl.
Finally.
Sean.
Remember this story, everybody? It's still going.
This was high drama because I've had this problem. You've had this problem. If you're listening at home, you probably had this problem as well. Storage. Nowhere to put stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Always causes trouble. There's trouble in the house because he's got boxes everywhere. Keeps getting deliveries.
Boxes of makeup.
All this nonsense MLM stuff. All this makeup. All this bisexual eyeliner that he's ordered. He doesn't know where to put it. Eileen puts it outside, and so he gets mad. And then Kirk has a go at him later for saying that his scheming and his business plans are causing people like Gemma to have financial struggles, and he really should know better because he used to be homeless. And Eileen says, you should probably just quit. And so he phones Ridian up and says, I want to quit.
I hope we get to see more of Ridian again. We did see him a few
Ridian's going to turn up and tell him he can't quit, probably. He's like, see that boy over there, Jacob? You see how he's doing drugs? This is the same thing. You can't quit.
Do you think that Ridian might be the same person as Jacob's boss?
Ridian is Jacob's boss.
Yeah.
And all of those...
He's got his drug branch and he's got his bisexual makeup branch.
Sometimes they get confused and you put some eyeshadow on and you have a very strange evening.
Maybe this story can perhaps go somewhere next week and finish. Perhaps would be lovely.
It's just like limping, isn't it?
Yeah. And the same with Dylan as well. It's like... I'm watching it go, is Dylan back in the programme or is he not? Because he's come in a little bit over the past year and now he's getting mentioned again and then they don't mention him for a month and a half. It's just a bit bizarre. I don't know.
Anyway, what did you think of this week's Coronation Street, Michael?
Good, it was good. I did think that tonight wasn't as exciting as the rest of the week. I enjoyed all the heart attack stuff that wasn't actually a heart attack on Wednesday. I thought that, the drug story was good. Definitely the performances shone for me. Jane Danson, Alex Bain, Sally Ann Matthews, Richard Hawley, they reel them off. Nina
Jack.
Nina and yes,
Jack.
Chickadee Jack. Nina and Asha was fantastic. There was lots of good stuff on it. I surprised that the Yasmeen and Elaine story still was not as gripping as some of the other ones, and then also having this yoga and telesales and marketing story towards the end of it just felt a little bit unnecessary, but I know it must have just been a warm-up for next week, really.
I really hope that this story is going down the route where I am supposed to have got the impression that I did from Tyrone's behaviour towards Alina.
Well, sure it won't be long to find out because it feels like they
so that I can
next
rant
week
about
it's
it.
going to be all about them. So,
what are you going to give it?
I think it was... today's had to bring it down a little bit, but I still think on the whole it was a pretty strong week and certainly leagues ahead of what we've had the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to give it 3.5 projectile exercise books out of 5.
I'm going to give it 4 goblins following Ed around the internet.
Oh yeah, Ed couldn't use his phone, could he? There's something going to be going on there, isn't there? Because he's getting Michael's calendar appointments on his phone.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he's gambling on the internet.
No, he's not. He's getting Michael's calendar appointments, and I wonder whether he's going to find out something that maybe Michael wants to keep secret from him. Something baby related, or I don't know.
Go to...
They wouldn't have made that remark off the cuff for no reason.
Baby mincing factory. What are you going to do with the baby? Nothing. Why? Why do you ask?
So it was a good week. Long may it continue. That's it, really.
I hope so too. Character of the week, though.
Oh yeah, I forgot we got character of the week.
Can't believe it. I nearly got away with it. Shouldn't have brought it up.
Who's your character of the week? I think...
Is it Jacob?
I think it's maybe going to Jacob. I mean...
he's so evil and annoying. And he's so good at being an evil and annoying actor. I think
that he deserves it more maybe than some of the others. Like, I really enjoyed Asha and Nina and Johnny and Jenny, but it felt like they didn't have loads of scenes to do.
Central characters.
They weren't central
We've
characters.
given it to people that haven't done a lot in a week, though.
Yeah. I don't know. With Jacob, is it just because I like the performance? Were there any? I mean,
So what?
Jenny could be a good one because, like I said, I was very, very pleased that Jenny resisted the
Can I just
temptation of
tell
Bistro
you
Guy.
that you can give it to somebody 1 week for something and then give it to somebody else
Yeah,
for
I know.
another week for a different
reason.
reason.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm giving mine to Jacob, and you can do what you like.
I
But this
am
relationship
going to give.
hinges on what you're about to say.
But yeah, I could give it to Johnny because he took his pills, and I was very proud
It's
of him.
not
that
blooming.
moment
It's
as
not
well.
it's like special
Not giving
reward
it to Minji Monialia, I'll
for
tell you
being
that.
the bestest person.
I'm going to give it to. Yeah, when I'm thinking of characters that stood out for this week, for me, it's got to be Jacob, hasn't it?
He was a bit of a revelation.
Yeah, I mean, I've been kind of warming to him more and more the weeks have gone on, but this week was it was his best so far, I think. So yeah, Jacob, well done.